Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to bring the 7-game NBA main slate on Saturday. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos and live stream for NBA and NFL slates on Draftkings. Now making videos for NBA Top Shot as well. If you cannot watch these YouTube videos, they're also up on Apple Podcasts. We'll link down below. It's called the DKDFS Show. If you're interested in signing up for premium content, I offer that on Patreon.com, an esports package, which includes Call of Duty and CSGO, and an NBA package. And I do want to thank Prize Picks for sponsoring this episode. If you're not familiar with Prize Picks, the idea is, again, you take over-under on fantasy points. So they have 8 players up for tomorrow. They'll have a lot more throughout the day, and these will move. So if you see one that you think is too high or too low, take advantage of it then, because, again, these will move throughout the day. They have multiple different sports: MLB, PGA, esports, basically everything you can think of. You can mix and match sports. You can do a couple from NBA, a couple from PGA, right? We have the Masters going on right now. They have soccer, again, every single thing. So, and then the nice thing too is you're not playing against anyone. You're playing against the house. It's a nice change of pace from Draftkings. If you guys want to try it out, you can sign up and use the code DKDFS. DKDFS, all one word, link down below. You'll get a 100% match up to $100. You put $100 in, you will get $200 to play with, or a free $100. And before we hop in the video, I just want to thank you guys for all your support on the videos, live streams, and on Twitter. If you do enjoy this content, if you hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos, you know when I go live. Unfortunately, tomorrow I'm not going to be doing a live stream. So just this video. If you guys have any questions, you can throw them in the comment section. I'll try to get back to you guys on Twitter as well. So yeah, let's hop into the video. Before we talk about players and the prices for this 7-game slate, we can look back at the lineup here from Friday. So Friday got in the cash and had the same lineup as about half the lobby. So let's go over it. Russell Westbrook, Reggie Jackson, Kawhi Leonard, Thanasis Antetokounmpo, Bobby Portis, Jeff Teague, Nwora, and Steph Curry. And yeah, this is a situation. Normally, I don't like playing the optimal lineup. I don't, because you're just going to have lineup trains like this. But this is just a rare situation where the chalk was too good, right? The Milwaukee chalk was too good. The Clippers chalk was too good with, Pat Beverly and Rondo out. So, Reggie, Man, even Kennard. I don't think Kennard had that good of a game, but the chalk was just too good. And what opened up was it really kind of forced you on these plays, right? If you were playing the Milwaukee guys, which were like basically the 4 starters besides Forbes, Thanasis, Portis, Teague, and Nwora. And I thought Reggie, once we got news that I was going to play Man, but once we got news that Reggie was starting, I swapped to Reggie. And if you got on those guys, it basically forced you onto these stars. So that's why in the high dollar tournaments, right, when you go up higher in dollar amount, the field is sharper. So everyone kind of knows what the optimal build is. And that's why you saw 71% Russell Westbrook, 54% Kawhi Leonard, and 66% Steph Curry. So yeah, like look at this. Like literally me and like 30 other people had the same lineup. So not a ton of fun. Like you'll see these lineup trains all the time. I personally don't get it for GPPs. Like that's what my strategy is always. If I think the chalk is really good, I will usually play most of it and then get different to 1 or 2 spots. But this is just a rare situation where, again, it kind of forced you on all these plays. Now, the other stack I was thinking of was the Atlanta-Chicago stack. But the issue I had there, like the Trae Young, Zach LaVine stack, which I mentioned a few times, the issue I had there was it left you with a weird spot for like salary. So like you would have to play some other like player in the mid-range and you kind of didn't want to. So that's why I just got to this lineup, and everyone else did as well. So yeah, that's it for the look back, guys. Hope you had a good night, and let's see if we can keep it rolling here for this 7-game slate. I think we have 2 of the 7 games out right now. Kings and Jazz at 231 over under. The Jazz are 12.5-point favorites. Some blow risk here, and Rockets Warriors are 228 over under. The Warriors are 9-point favorites. All right, so we'll start off with Toronto and Cleveland. All right, so on the Toronto side, Lowry, questionable, might be back here. Van Fleet is still out. If Lowry is in, Then there's not a ton I love. Lowry himself would be a decent play if there's no minutes limit. Now, we've seen with the Raptors, rarely, like, these guys will be on a minutes limit, so this will be something we'll have to keep an eye on if Lowry does play. Now, if Lowry misses, we also have Bembry back. Like, we got Flynn up at 5'3", Bembry at 3'6". If Bembry starts again, I think he's someone we could look to for value just because of the price. Flynn, at that price, I think is still in play, but doesn't stand out as like a smash play like he has the last few slates. Gary Trent Jr., again, has been shooting terribly, and same with his fantasy production, right? If he's not hitting shots, he will not get you there. So that's always the risk of Gary Trent. OG Anunoby seems priced about right. Boucher, again, we finally got that big game. He played 36 minutes, but if Lowry's, we also have Bembry back. Lowry might be back too. I always get a little bit worried with his minutes when this team gets a little bit healthier, because, like, again, when you see like a fully healthy team, 16, 19, 20 minutes. So we'll monitor this. If Boucher starts again, I would have a little bit more confidence, but the price did come up $1,100. So again, just got to keep an eye on the Lowry news, really. Pascal Siakam, if there is no Kyle Lowry, I'd be fine going back there just because of the minutes. All right, moving on to Cleveland. So still no Jared Allen, still no Larry Nance. We'll start with the guards. Sexton and Garland. The positive with these two guys is the minutes, right? They're going to play like 35-plus minutes almost every single night, like around there. So they're always like viable, but they never really stand out to me. Kevin Love at 6.1K, was in a blowout that last game. I think we normally get about mid-20s minutes. Now, even in a blowout, in 23 minutes, he's still in for 40 fantasy points. So, like, Love is viable at that price. I also mentioned Hartenstein off the bench got extended a little bit because of the blowout. I think normally he probably hovers around the 20 to 22 minute mark or something around there. He can still get it done in tournaments, but the price came up enough where it's like you can't go to him in cash games. Also, again, the foul trouble risk. I'm not going to play Dean Wade at that price. Taurean Prince has been solid off the bench at 4.6. I don't know if he's going to continue to play this well, right? Taurean Prince is not a bad player, but like, is he really going to keep shooting like lights out? Again, price coming up. I'm okay with it, but I don't know if he's going to continue to play that well, really. Lakers and Nets. LeBron, AD, both questionable. Kuzma, questionable as well. If Kuzma is out too, I think Dennis Schroeder, one of the best plays in the mid-range. Now, if you played him last slate, you got pretty unlucky. He shot 2 of 12. Still went for almost 40 fantasy points, shooting 2 of 12. The reason being is 14 assists, 6 boards, right? And the Lakers, they're thin. So if there's no Kyle Kuzma, I really like Dennis Schroeder at that price. Andre Drummond at 6.5. He played 27 minutes, which is good to see. Also was in a little bit of foul trouble. If he's going to get close to 30 minutes, then I think Drummond is underpriced and a really good play. Now, is it a lock for him to get close to 30 minutes? No, because we really haven't seen a ton of him yet in this Lakers uniform. So Drummond, there still is a little bit of risk, but at this price, I might be willing to take that risk. Montrezl Harrell with Drummond in. I don't think he's going to play enough minutes for me to get to him. Now, if Kuzma's out, THT was suspended the last game, but I would assume he might pick up the start if Kuzma's out again. So if Kuzma's out and THT starts, he's a value guy I like. KCP had a big game. Again, he hit his shots. Fine option, but man, he's got to hit his threes. Also, Caruso questionable. So there's a couple of pieces of news we're waiting on. Now, Kyle Kuzma's in. It's probably just the top 3 guys in Kuzma, Schroeder, and Drummond that I would look to. So, keep an eye on that Kuzma news. Pretty significant for the slate. On the Brooklyn Nets side, Kyrie Irving at 10.4 feels a little bit pricey with Durant in. Not saying he can't get it done, but like I don't love it. Now, Durant himself, keep an eye on this one. So, if there's no minutes limit for Kevin Durant, then I think he's a really good play. But based on what we saw the last game, they really took it easy on his minutes, only played 19. I know it was a blowout, but still wasn't on pace for big minutes. So this is one we'll have to monitor for sure with the status of Kevin Durant. And everyone else on the Nets are kind of just, don't know if I'm going to get to anyone else. Sacramento and Utah. So a little bit worried about the blowout here for the Sacramento, for really both sides. But yeah, De'Aaron Fox at the top. If they're going to keep this game close, you will probably see a pretty big game from Fox. He will be low because of the matchup. Don't mind him though as a contrarian play. Rashawn Holmes at 7'6", has been some foul trouble lately. I mean, that's always the risk. I don't really want to target him against Rudy Gobert. Like Barnes, Halliburton, Hield. Whiteside at 3'8". We'll probably play somewhere about 10 to 15 minutes. But again, I don't know if we have to go there. Terrence Davis at 3'5". He'll hover around the 15 to 20 minute mark, super reliant on the scoring. DeLon Wright has cracked this rotation now. There's just a lot of guys. Mo Harkless even started the last game. I don't really want to play Mo Harkless, even though it's mid-price. Sacramento's kind of extending the rotation a little bit, so it makes it harder to like basically anyone else besides Fox for me. On the Utah side, so Jordan Clarkson, considered doubtful. So Donovan Mitchell, I think, is a really solid spend up. Even in a blowout, lost about, I think, 2 or 3 minutes the last game, still went for 50 fantasy points. And this is a great matchup. My one concern with Mitchell is, can the Kings keep this game close? Because the Utah Jazz have been playing really well. So I do like Mitchell. The only concern is the blowout. Rudy Gobert at 8K, I think is fine too, right? I do really like the spot. So if you get to Gobert, I'm not going to talk you off him. Mike Conley at 7-1 feels a little bit pricey. I'm not saying you can't get there, but I think I would just rather spend up like an extra $1,500 for Mitchell. Now, Joe Ingles at 5'4", with Clarkson out, he played 35 minutes. He gets a pretty big boost when one of those guards are out. So I think Joe Ingles is actually a pretty solid play here in the mid-range, a guy that can stuff the stat sheet, again, in a good matchup. Bojan's role doesn't really change. Again, he's got to hit his shots, pretty reliant on scoring. You got Royce O'Neal down here at 3.9K. The minutes will be there. Again, not a super high usage guy, but if not a ton of value opens up, then if you land on him, sure, I get it, right? He'll probably play about 30 minutes. And then I always mention Favors, just because Favors is a good point per minute guy. He'll play about 15 minutes. If we're really hurting for value on the slate, I could see getting to Favors, but probably better value will open up throughout the day. Now, Philadelphia and OKC, the big news is Embiid. He fell awkwardly on his knee and questionable for this game tomorrow. If Joel Embiid is out, then Philadelphia looks a lot more interesting. Then a guy, Tobias Harris, in my opinion, becomes one of the better plays this slate. It's a massive boost in a great matchup. Ben Simmons at 8-2. I guess I would rather play Tobias, though. But he's been really disappointing, Ben Simmons, this year. Now, Dwight Howard at 4-7. I think he would probably play mid-20s minutes. Don't know if he would start, but he's a pretty solid point per minute guy, so there's no Embiid. I actually really would like Dwight Howard there at that price. And then you got guys like Milton and Seth Curry and Danny Green. Milton probably hovers in the 20-minute range. Seth Curry probably in the 25-minute range to 30. And Danny Green probably in the 30-minute range. But all these guys are kind of reliant on the scoring, so don't have a ton of interest there. Really, my main interest would probably be Tobias and Dwight Howard if Embiid is out. Now, if Embiid is in, then I don't know if I'm going to get to anyone. Embiid himself would be a little bit worried about the minutes for him at a back-to-back. Probably would stay away if Embiid's in. Moving on to OKC. So this has been a frustrating team because they just get blown out every night. They got blown out by the Cavs last game. I played a lower-owned Maladon because he was the last piece in and lost minutes because of blowout. That was so frustrating. Moses Brown at 6.6K. For me, still, it's going to be Tony Bradley over Moses Brown. They're playing, pretty similar minutes. I'm just going to take the one that's cheaper. Pokusevski at 6K. Don't love the matchup for him. More of a secondary option. You got Kenrich Williams at 5'7", probably hovers in the 30-minute range. He's a guy who can stuff the stat sheet. I think he's a fine play. Maladon's got the upside, maybe a little bit lower floor than Kenrich. Baisley, Dort, Roby. I don't expect any of those guys to play, but I'll also keep an eye on that. Svi, 2-score independent for my liking. Ty Jerome at 4-2. Probably plays about 20, 25-ish minutes off the bench. A viable tournament play. Again, mentioned Bradley. I prefer him to Moses Brown. Bradley probably hovers in the 20 to 22-minute range, but I would rather have that than Moses Brown in the 28 to 30-minute range for $3,000 more. Also, revenge game narrative here for Tony Bradley, so he's a guy that I think is intriguing at his price. All right, Houston and Golden State. So it looks like John Wall will be in for this game. He rested the game today, the front end of a back-to-back. So if John Wall is on a minutes limit, expect 40 minutes from him. No, seriously. He was on a minutes limit for this game against Dallas. Literally 34 minutes. He's not on a minutes limit, Steven Silas. Why are you saying that? But yeah, I do like John Wall actually a good amount at that price. Up-tempo matchup. He's a guy that's been super, super high usage. I do like John Wall. I mentioned Christian Wood at 8-3. He's a guy that should play mid-30s minutes. Again, great matchup here. Don't mind Kevin Porter Jr. He does take a usage hit with John Wall in the lineup, so he'd be more of a secondary play for me. And then Kelly Olynyk. He's been really solid for this team. He should start, should play about 30 minutes. So it's Olynyk, it's Wall, it's Wood, the guys that I really like for Houston. Value, like Brown, Bradley, Augustine. If I had to pick one, probably would be DJ. I don't know how many minutes he played tonight, but he's been a pretty solid point per minute guy off the bench. Now, on the Golden State side, it's Steph Curry at 10-1. And like this game as part of a game stack, two teams that are not great in the defensive end. He had a solid game today, one from 52 fancy points. I expect him to play in this back-to-back, so do like Steph there at the top. Draymond Green at 7-1. Still a little bit, I expected a little bit more from him in this game. Like, he did have 2 blocks, 3 steals, but only 5 and 8. Expected a little bit more in that matchup. Price had come up. I think that will lower the ownership. I still am fine getting to Draymond. He's just a guy I like playing. I know he's been a little bit more up and down, though. With Wiggins, Oubre, kind of secondary options. Might prefer Oubre. I think he's just playing more minutes recently. He's actually been pretty solid, too, last 3 games. 48, 32, and 37. But we know it is hard to trust him for DFS. Wiseman, priced about right. That's probably it for Golden State. All right, Detroit and Portland. All right, so Jeremy Grant out. Plumlee questionable. I would guess he doesn't play, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. So we will start with the 2 guys I think look the best if Plumlee's out. That being Isaiah Stewart. Came in a pretty low ownership for me last game, 42 fancy points. If there's no Plumlee, I think he's one of the better value plays of the slate for sure at that price. And then Corey Joseph. He started last game. He played 32 minutes. Went for 40 fancy points. He's been really good, and if he's going to start this game, I think he's one of the better value plays of the slate. Now, there is just a little bit of concern, like a little bit of worry, just because the Pistons have 20 point guards. So maybe if Kojo gets off to a bad start, they could really cut his minutes short. But at this price, I might be willing to take that risk. Now, Saddiq Bey is another guy I'm looking to at 4-7. Played 35 minutes. Was a little bit disappointing, but hey, the good thing is the minutes, right? 35. So Saddiq Bey I also think is a pretty decent value play. Hamidou Diallo only played 17 minutes. It's he can get it. He can probably get you there that time, but not a good sign that they're giving him limited run off the bench. And then Josh Jackson played 26 minutes. I think he'd be someone we could look to as well. Other options in Detroit. Killian Hayes off the bench has played over 20 minutes the last 3 games. I think he's someone you could take a shot on. I probably feel better about Corey Joseph. Dennis Smith Jr., I believe he started that last game. He played 27 minutes too. Again, in play. There's a lot of guys that are in play. You can even make the argument for Okafor at the flat min price. Probably gets 15 to 20 minutes just because he's a solid point per minute guy. So there's actually a lot of Pistons that are in play here. But I think the 3 that look the best are probably Kojo, Stewart, and Bey, assuming Plumlee is out. Now, if Plumlee's in, then obviously that probably takes me off Stewart. And then Plumlee himself, if there's no limit, would actually be a pretty good play. So that's one we'll also have to keep an eye on. Moving on to Portland. So we have what we know is no Nurkic. I think Enes Kanter is one of the better plays of the slate. With no Nurkic, last game he played 36 minutes. This is a bigger team in Detroit, right? They have Plumlee if he plays. If not, they have Stewart and Okafor. So they always have a traditional center out there, which makes me like Enes Kanter a lot because I think the minutes would be pretty secure for him. He's a great point per minute guy. So Kanter is one of my favorite plays of the slate with Lillard and CJ. I like them both. A little bit worried about the blowout here because this Pistons team sucks. But yeah, Lillard 9-4, CJ 7-7, both viable on this one. Robert Covington at 5.7K should play about mid-30s minutes in a close game. He's a fine secondary option for me. Probably it. I don't know if I get to anyone else on Portland. Like Norman Powell at 5-5 also has been playing pretty solid minutes. Like if you land on Powell or Covington, that's all right. I don't really think they look amazing, but they don't look bad. And final game here, Washington-Phoenix. So this one might be a little bit of a headache. Beal is questionable. My guess is he doesn't play if they're listing him as questionable, and it's a back-to-back. They said he was a little bit banged up. We'll see, though. If he is out, I think Russell Westbrook, even though it's a bad matchup, would become one of the better plays of the slate. And then value-wise, like Rui still feels a little bit pricey. Denny's still a little bit priced up. The guy I'm looking to, and the guy I mentioned for this slate is Robin Lopez. He continues to get it done. He continues to play 25 to 30 minutes and continues to have really good games. So Robin Lopez is the value guy I think I look to on Washington. Other value plays, like Bertans might pay a little bit more if Beal's out, but again, he's reliant on the scoring. Ish Smith at 3.7, yeah, I could see, you could make the argument for him. I really dislike the Washington value. You guys know that by now. I don't trust it. Finally, Phoenix. The top three guys all look pretty good. And Booker, Paul, Ayton. My worry, just like the guys for Utah, is blowout, right? Washington, if there's no Beal, that increases the chance of the blowout. But if this game does stay close, I think all three look pretty solid. Booker at 8.9, again, I think he's got the most upside. I think Chris Paul is probably the safest, as I always say with this group. And then DeAndre Ayton at 6.7 does feel a little cheap for the spot. So the main three guys for Phoenix all, I think, look pretty solid. Jay Crowder at 4.7, he's a guy that we kind of know what we're getting out of. He'll play about 30 minutes, usually get you around 20 to 30 fantasy points, somewhere in that range. A fine value option. If you think this game blows out, you can look to maybe a guy like Cam Johnson, who's been playing about 20 minutes off the bench. This game played 37. Don't really chase that because that's where Mikal Bridges got in severe foul trouble. But yeah, Cam Johnson would be a guy that I think will get extended a bit if the game does blow out. So maybe you can punt with him. But yeah, that's going to do it for the video today, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I would really appreciate if you leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the notification bell so you know when I upload videos, you know when I go live. Again, I won't be doing a YouTube live stream tomorrow, but if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. Thanks again. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you all later.